the Medical Laboratory Professional Workers Union and the College of Education Teachers Association of Ghana, they have locked horns with government over broken promises regarding benefits that are due them. Call it broken promises. Now, government is, through the Ministry of Health, asking the MELPWU members to get back to the negotiation table. I'm sure they're also asking, what is on this table that you want us to sit around? We're connecting with the president of CETAG, all the way in the Ashanti region, Prince Obinghime, on phone. And in studio here is Dr. Abraham Amar. Franklin Amar is the first vice chairman of MELPWU. Welcome, Franklin. Good morning. How are you?
Good morning, and good morning to your cherished listeners.
Great. And good morning to you, my brother from the Ashanti region as well. How are you?
I'm good, sir.
Great. Now, let me start with CETAG and ask you, 47 colleges of education or 46 colleges of education, you have all put your pens and your notebooks and everything down. You are on strike. Why?
Jonas Hughes.
Yes, sir.
Let me wish you good morning. Thank you for this wonderful opportunity that I have always clamored for. Also commend you for the good work you are doing. And lastly, extend my well wish to the over 2,000 teachers across the 46 public colleges of education in Ghana who are at this time listening to you by the power of internet and the establishment that you have made for yourself and your industry.
Thank you very much.
I want to just say that our matter is clear. I know that for the purposes of people who are listening to us for the first time, you've asked this question, why we are where we are at the moment. For you, I know you understand perfectly. And that is where I continue to commend you for being professional. It's a fact that on the 2nd of May 2023, the National Labour Commission came out with arbitral awards. And the arbitral awards arose after CETAG and the government team had submitted to the National Labour Commission when the Fair Wages and Salaries Commission had, failed in their duty to, as it were, carry through with the negotiation that for almost 2 years we had carried with them. We weren't seeing to any conclusion. So therein, we triggered compulsory arbitration, and then it moved from the hands of the Fair Wages to the hands of the National Labour Commission.
Right.
When it happens that we get trigger compulsory arbitration, and then these are neutral people, and we all go and they make our submissions. After months of submissions and hearings, the Commission came out with their own arbitral awards. And then, among other things, it was stated explicitly in the arbitral award that, look, the teachers said they had worked, continuously for the year, within the year of 2022 without any form of break, which violated their human rights, their labor rights, and what have you. So give them compensation. They were asking for 2 months compensation for all their members who took part. But we, as commissioners, arbiters, looking at their right, juxtaposing it with the economic position of the country, we are saying that we have proposed, or we have suggested, or we have approved 1 month compensation for each of the members. 1. 2, they also say that, the people say that they have some of their members who hold similar qualifications as people who teach in other public tertiary institutions, that is the universities. And for us to establish the principle of equal work, equal pay, and for us to also deepen that principle of standardization and rationalization of salaries and allowances within the tertiary space, extend to them what their colleagues elsewhere are taking by way of allowances. Now, we are saying that before that can be done, there should be some sort of staff audit, and the staff audit should be conducted to establish the relativities, so that when that is done, it wouldn't look like because you think people are out there with similar qualification, but we have evidence-based thing. Then on that basis, we'll be able to extend. And when that is done, please, government team,
92.7.
extend it retrospectively. The terms will even end on the 31st of July 2023. And when you are done with that, implement it retrospectively from 1st January 2023 for the people.
Okay.
As you speak now, that has not been done.
Right.
The staff audit has been conducted. Each teacher has been given, a document showing where he is supposed to be placed. That is a comparative to his colleague in the tertiary institution. Now it's left with the implementation.
Right.
Now, we look at all of these things, and then some people have had to retire without them being put where they ought to have been put. And you know what, Johnny? When you retire in Ghana here, the arrangements are that
3FM.
where you were, the salary you were on before you retired, determines the arrangement the state can make for you in terms of taking care of you
That's
when you
correct.
are retired. And we all know, you and I know, that when you've retired after 50, that is where your payments show up. So by government refusing to, or by our employer refusing to implement these things, it means that they are allowing people to retire on low salaries. They will not be able to get the required funds to be able to take care of themselves indirectly or advertently.
I hear you.
They are signing the people's death warrant.
Okay.
And that is an infringement on the people's economic rights.
I hear you, Mr. Hime.
Fundamental human rights under 1992 Constitution. That's where we are saying that we saw this, we've seen this. We have written to the Fair Wages and to the National Labour Commission that, look, National Labour Commission, we are aware that when you come out with arbitral awards by your own orders, 164, what have you, when you come out with your awards, no party can seek to, vary, can seek to ignore. It's imperative on parties that appear before the national.
All right. Let me bring in Franklin and ask him if the story is the same with MELPWU. Is it the same?
No, so we have not gone for any arbitration.
Right.
So the dynamics are entirely different.
Right. What is your story?
So our story is the journey to obtain a codified conditions of service for medical laboratory professionals.
Right.
And the journey began as far back as 2021,
Okay.
where we got the legal mandate to engage the Fair Wages and Salary Commission to get a codified conditions of service for medical laboratory professionals. The process has been very, tortuous and also bedeviled with a lot of agitations and frustrations. It is the case that every now and then we have to come into the public space before we are given opportunity at table to negotiate. Something we felt was maybe somebody directly playing to a certain delay tactics so that we do not get the condition of service on time. This situation I've lingered on, and take note that time is of essence because the conditions of service is renewable every 2 years.
That's correct.
It expires every 2 years. What it means is that if you submit a conditions of service in 2022 and you are in 2024 and it has not seen the light of day, what it means is that the thing is even expired on arrival. And it is not in tandem with prevailing economic circumstances. It is therefore very imperative that duty bearers act on these conditions of service expeditiously so that we can get, especially when they are talking of essential caregivers like medical laboratory professionals.
The concern that is often raised when you people who work within the medical space go on such actions is that, people will die. People will die. How does that get to you when those arguments are raised that, you're asking for what is due you, but consider also that people will die?
The reality is that we are human beings, and at all times we must act as human beings. So we are not insensitive to the plight of the common Ghanaian who is likely to lose his life. That's right. But the point must be made that we are also human beings. We are subject to the emotions of everybody. What everybody goes through, we also go through same. To that extent, the law also made provision that if we have concerns, same must come to the fore and dealt with as quickly as possible so that we can give our best. And so when it happens that things have lingered home for all this while, 2 years down the lane, we are still talking about conditions of service because of certain inactions of duty bearers. It is very frustrating.
The ministry is asking for you to come back to the discussion table. What do you say?
I think that the ministry's statement was in bad taste.
Why do you say that?
Now, take note that we did not just put it in the public space for the ministry to take signals, but we officially wrote to the minister that our members are frustrated and desperate. And to that extent, if something is not done as quickly as possible, by the 17th of June, our members will lay down their tools.
And what did the ministry say?
Well, the ministry acknowledged receipt of this letter on the 4th of June and sat aloof, treated us with contempt and disrespect, without any form of invitation to even lead us to dialogue over the issues until on the 17th of June, which was a Monday and a holiday, when our people vented their frustration by laying down their tools. And the ministry found their keys on a holiday to go into office to submit into the public space that we should rescind our decision and come back to table. We think that that is most disrespectful, because between the 4th, when they acknowledge receipt of our letter, to the 17th, it's clear 13 days.
Right.
In law, we will say that we have submitted ample and reasonable time within which duty bearers, if they are acting in good faith, can act.
So you think that they acted in bad faith?
They acted in bad faith by just putting it in the public space when indeed we belong to the ministry. And they could have invited or written to us.
Are you backing down all services at this time, or you're just being selective? Maybe if somebody comes from an emergency, somebody is already admitted in a ward and they need a lab test, or you're shutting down everybody?
My brother, we submitted ample time within which duty bearers could act on the issues that we brought to the fore.
So what are you doing now?
So what is on the ground is that there is a complete shut.
So what it means is that if I'm on the hospital bed now and a doctor comes around and he needs a test done on me ASAP and between life and death, you will not be available to help.
Exactly what it is, unfortunately.
What will get you to return to the negotiation table?
Well, our members are venting their frustration. And what is happening now is that leaders are even being accused of doing some untoward all this while. What duty bearers can do is to rally around and engage leadership and submit something tangible in hand, because we know what the issues are. They should submit something tangible in hand so that we can also go to our members with something in hand, so that we can convince them.
Are you willing to meet government halfway?
Well, it's a negotiation. So the impression out there as if what we submitted is cast in stone is erroneous. We are very much open, and what we submit is not cast in stone. We are aware that if we have submitted 13 items, we do not expect to get all 13 items.
Right.
We trade something for something. But in negotiation, there are things that you cannot compromise on. If it hinges on the well-being of the profession.
At what point did the conversation break down? Because there's a new minister for health, but there was a previous minister for health. At what point did the conversation break down?
Now, so this is where the conversation broke down. We had gone through the various things that exist already until a point where, so the things that will also come from the internally generated fund, there were no issues with them.
Right.
But there were issues that will appear on our pay slip. And there were 13 items that were flagged.
Right.
Now, at our last negotiation, the Fair Wages and Salary Commission said that they have only financial mandate for the 2 out of the 13. We felt that it was not good enough. And so they should engage the Ministry of Finance to submit another mandate which will allow them to extend other important things. We are not saying all. We are even willing to even slash percentages and all that.
And then what happened?
And then it is also taking forever. And take note that this is something that hinges on finance. And so if it is not properly captured in budget, it will be difficult to pay. And we are making the medical laboratory professional worse off economically. And so to that extent, and the exigencies of the timing, we felt that something must be done as quickly as possible. And that is what has resulted in our members being frustrated and desperate, and you see the ramifications on the ground.
Prince, let me come to you. What will also get you back into the classrooms?
Thank you, Johnny. We are simply saying that the National Labour Commission has to enforce, has the responsibility to ensure enforceability of its own orders.
Right.
And when that is done, we'll gladly come back to the classroom. And when I have this wonderful opportunity, I should be able to correct the erroneous impression that has been created by the fair wages and other people, to the effect that we have been negotiating and we've run away from negotiation. We just do not want anybody to bring negotiation into discourse at this moment, because negotiation ended the moment the National Labour Commission came out with arbitral awards on the 2nd of May. And negotiation technically also ended the moment we signed the collective bargaining agreement. So if the fair wages keep saying that we are negotiating, we need to negotiate, and what have you, then they are making mockery of their own processes, because you can't sign onto collective bargaining agreement when negotiation is ongoing. So we just want to put that one out there.
Now, the students, some of whom we spoke with, are saying that, look, this is going to be a drawback, a difficult time for them, because they come back, they have to come and refresh their memory, get ready to take their exams, Do you feel their pain?
It's a pity. It's a pity to read the emotions of these, ambitious students wanting to train to become professional teachers to help push Ghana's, education agenda forward, to go through what they are going through. It remains a fact that we have our own relatives, our family members, our church members also in the fold of the students. My good self, I have 2 nephews who are, schooling. I wouldn't mention the colleges they are in for security reasons. I must say that in all of these things, we expect the government to also acknowledge the fact that the teachers are also people who also have future. I just mentioned people who have retired. I attended somebody's funeral who needed money to be able to take care of his ailments because of the low level of salaries and what have you. He couldn't do it. Let the government do the needful, and we'll gladly come back to meet our dear students.
And how long do you expect government to take before they do this needful thing you're talking about?
Well, the ball is in their court. We have arbitral awards, and they have to comply. As far as we know, if arbitral awards come out and you have difficulty implementing it or complying, you go back to the NLC after some days. They know it's enshrined in the labor law. They know. They've not done that. So as far as we know, they are okay with it. Finally, on ending, I must say that I felt really sad when I heard the Fair Wages and Salaries Commission boss talk about the fact that we even have no right to talk about the fact that when our salaries got frozen last year, August 2023, for embarking on legitimate strike, and the minister said, issued a statement or gave a letter that the salary should be restored. The salary got restored, excluding some of us, including my good self as I speak to you. My August 2023 salary is locked up for no absolute reason, together with some other people who were perceived as having played key role in the struggle.
Okay.
I call it intimidation. And the Fair Wages and Salaries Commission, who is supposed to be empathetic to the needs and what have you of Ghanaian workers, comes out to say we have no justification to ask for that. I mean, it's sickening. It's something you can't imagine. So we are simply saying that it's one of the things we are talking about. The frozen salaries of August 2023 salary of some of the CETAG members, led by the president, my good self, my salary is still locked up there for no reason. They should pay. And it's one of the things the release we are seeking.
Prince Obeng Hime, President of CETAG, thank you very much indeed for your time. We're grateful.
Thank you. My name is Prince Obeng Hima.
Hima,
Thank
great,
you.
great. All right, thank you very much. Grateful. Franklin, you have the final word. How else can we beg you?
Well, we are not a difficult people. We have relatives too. And so naturally we want to take decisions in the interest of the common Ghanaian. But you see, people must learn to treat essential caregivers as essential caregivers. The ministry acted in bad faith. And without a doubt, it has appalled the medical laboratory professionals because he sought out to set us up at loggerheads with the public when, in clear violation of negotiation rules, was putting details of uniform on sociable and it was in bad taste.
You thought that that shouldn't have come into the public
Of
domain.
course, in all the conversations you hear things like we submitted 13. What is in the 13? Because of rules of engagement, we were unable to go into the details.
Right.
And it was veering into details. Yet it is not within its remit. That is within the remit of the Fair Wages
So you thought
and
that the
Salary
ministry
Commission.
was pitching you against the public?
Of course, because clearly, if you listen to their PRO, it was citing things like uniform. Meanwhile, on the negotiation table, what it is, it's not just uniform, but uniform and clothing allowance.
Okay.
Because we, as medical laboratory professionals, is known we do not wear uniform, but we do not appear at work naked. We appear in a dignified manner. So rightfully so, if the employer has to extend some clothing allowance so that the medical laboratory professional appears good, it is in good taste. Because why? Can you have confidence in somebody who is going to take your blood sample and he appears in a tattered clothing? And so clearly, the ministry set out to set us up against the public, and that is most unfair. Meanwhile, we wrote to you on the 3rd of June, of which you acknowledge receipt of same on the 4th of June.
Right.
You refuse to act only on the 17th of June when our people are venting their frustration to come out and then also violate negotiation rules. That is most unfair. And so the ministry should come again and submit proper invitation to medical laboratory professionals with something tangible in hand. And then we can engage our people and then we can go back to work.
When these things usually happen, when, labor and government locks horn, oftentimes the labor unions will say the labor commission is tilted towards government and would usually ask you to go back, even though what is due you and what has been agreed has not been, like in the case of CETAG, has not been given to you. Do you fear that could happen again? A labor commission, fair wages would ask you to go back?
Well, experience has always been the best teacher. And so if you look at how things have happened in this country, it will be disappointing if that is the case, but it will not be surprising. But you see, in the space of work, especially in the medical laboratory space, if you push a people who are disgruntled, frustrated, and sort of not in the right frame of mind to offer service, to go and work anyway, you will get the results that you want.
I don't understand.
Well, you can choose not to understand, but I've communicated with enough clarity. What I'm saying is that if what you suggested, that will be asked eventually by a certain legal impediment to go back to work, I'm saying that if you put somebody who is frustrated, disgruntled, and desperate to work for you, the results that you get from a desperate person is not the same as the results that you are likely to get from a happy professional.
Bottom line, you will not give off your best if you are forced to go back to work
we are
frustrated.
We are psychological beings. And so what affects us psychologically is likely to affect our decision making and our productivity. That is all that I have said.
Franklin Amah, Dr. Franklin Amah, thank you very much indeed for your time. Helen, you were shocked.
More intrigued than anything, but I think Doc summed it up quite clearly, and I like what he says. We have to start treating our essential caregivers as essential caregivers, because they are point of contact. If they are not fulfilled, happy, eager, and ready to work, what does that say about the state of our healthcare?
Well, this is the ministry's press statements dated the 17th of June 2024. It says that the Ministry of Health acknowledges the strike notice issued by the Medical Laboratory Professional Workers Union MELPWU, indicating that the strike will commence on Monday, 17 June 2024, to urge the government to approve and implement their proposed conditions of service. 2, MELPWU has requested continuous negotiations to finalize their proposed condition of service with the government. 3, the government negotiations team led by the Fair Wages and Salaries Commission has had extensive engagement with MELPWU since 2023 and is guided by both internal and external relativities. 4, majority of items proposed by MELPWU have been agreed upon by the government negotiations team. However, uniform, special project, unsociable, and communication allowance proposed by the union are still under various stages of negotiation. 5, the ministry can confirm that negotiations are ongoing and therefore appeal to MELPWU leadership to reconsider its decision to strike and return to the table. So we'll end here. This is where Mr. Dr. Franklin Amah is not too happy that you put the details out there. Well, but let's look on the brighter side. Today is a happy day. It's Wednesday, and today we also want to give you some good information about sickle cell. Today is World Sickle Cell Day. We want to give you some good information. I have a doctor coming up shortly with another gentleman. We'll have that conversation shortly.